Getting bikes out on the street, getting people where they want to go, and turning junk into useful stuff. And that's what's exciting about this project. It's really direct democracy. It's not about welfare and about bailing each other out. It's about working cooperatively towards a goal.
What it's brought together is a lot of different businesses and individuals. The public gives us bikes along with nonprofits. We have corporations that do free paint and give us trucks to move bikes around. So it's a big friendly circle. And a lot of people don't realize how many bikes are put in scrap iron piles every month. Here in Portland alone, about the nonprofits from Salvation of St. Vincent, the Goodwill, and others scrap about 75 a month. And those bikes deserve another life. And if we have the people that can repair them and paint them and fix them, then we'll continue to put them on the street.
And we're going to spin it. Think you can hold it? Okay. The Cycling Center is basically a repair and safety school for kids. Right now they're tuning up some bikes to go back on the street in Portland for the Yellow Bike program. I've wanted to work with kids for a long time. I wanted to work with the community. I wanted a simple grassroots kind of program, and that's what the Cycling Center fulfilled. What you've done is taken from a 10 speed.
12 speed.
Right. 1 speed. And we just cut the chain and lock it into a 1 speed. And that way the bikes stay in the general area. They're not going to go all the way up the hill, and they're not going to go all the way out to Gresham. So because of that one gear, they usually stay in.
People aren't using cars to do short hop trips. It doesn't put pollutants in the air. It's also good because people tend to slow down and see their environment and interact with it when they're on a bicycle. And to the extent that we can get people to slow down and appreciate where they are and what their surroundings are like, then that's good for them and it's good for all of us. We can take more pride in our city and feel good about each other.
Tools of democratic change take many forms, but none more powerful than trust. It's the end of another long day for a small business on the south side of Chicago. Time to put worries aside.
The Women's Self-Employment Project is an 8-year-old nonprofit organization whose mission is to assist low and moderate income women increase their economic self-sufficiency. It would be really great if the women could walk into banks and just get a loan. We wouldn't have to exist. I could go and find something else to do. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
Banks look at you with, oh, I don't know, you may not be able to do this because of your past financial history.
And it's really no type of financing that is available to the customer group, the market that we're serving.
I had monies for the building, but then I didn't have money for the inventory, so then I had this big place like, well, what you gonna put in it?
Running a small business like BJ's Beauty Supplies is hard going. Keeping the shelves full, paying the bills, satisfying customers. Once, when things looked bleak, a friend suggested a loan from the Women's Self-Employment Project. The project helps jumpstart entrepreneurs using seed money from foundations and corporations.
And I said, well, how much money can you get? And she said, well, you can get as much as $10,000. I said, what? So then she said, well, you have to start at $1,500. I said, oh, that's fine.
The first time I got one, I did 90 days. Right, because I got the loan like in January.
I didn't know it was for that. I thought that was for the year. That's not the same thing.
Oh, I don't know.
This is short term.
Oh.
To qualify for the Women's Self-Employment Project, BJ and her friends formed a lending circle. They back each other's loans. Their collateral is each other. They take turns borrowing money from the pot. No one gets new credit until the last person has made 3 payments on her loan.
Yeah, you should get the $1,500, because the other one is, what, 90 days or something?
$1,500 is okay. All you can use, I borrow it.
These are women who still have to take care of households. These are women who oftentimes are doing that as a single parent. The sessions are generally at night, so it's at the end of your day. And it speaks a lot to the women that they stay in this and they see the value that they receive from being in a group that's talking about and doing business together.
I know you're saying this one site right here, but what about a chain of BJ Beauty Supplies?
Well, that sounds great. But right now, I just want to get this solid, and then you can branch off.
We're talking about low-income women who, even though we're in business, live very isolated lives. I mean, a factor of poverty is isolation. And so being able to come together with other women for support, for advice, for assistance is a critical element.
Does anyone else have any anticipation of any exciting things that they want to take place on 95?
I want to get married.
Really, Dorothy?
My first loan was $1,500, and I was able to invest that into inventory, turn it over, and then I was able to go to the $3,000 and then $5,000. And now, hopefully, we'll get $15,000 as a line of credit.
That's why microenterprise and self-employment and entrepreneurship makes sense in the context of democracy, because it's a way, it's a strategy, it's an approach of giving people money, and when people have money and income, they can exercise choice, which means they can participate in a democratic process.
In San Antonio, Texas, one group found its power the hard way. Their backs were against the wall.
In 1974, this whole area would flood, and then the water would come into the homes. And then they sleep in shifts. There will always have to be someone awake because they knew with the heavy rains, the floods would come. As one resident said in an interview here one time, well, we'll just wait for the water to go down so we can take the dead dogs and garbage out of our neighborhoods, out of our yards. So there was a lot of anger. And when the city manager was quizzed by the mayor at that time, he says, well, how long have you known this? And the city manager says, about 40 years. He says, the mayor says, why haven't you done anything about it? And the city manager says, well, nobody's complained. We're brought up to be humble. We're brought up to be obedient. We're brought up to not question authority. The only institution we had left to trust was the church. We could do things within our local parishes, stop signs, something small. And we started out small because we needed to teach our people how to win. Many of our people, particularly the senior citizens, that was not in their experience. You just didn't win. You know, Mexicans don't win.
Now, what is a democracy? Well, what does the word democracy mean? Rule by the people? Is that what it means?
So then comes Ernie Cortez from the Industrial Areas Foundation with this idea of organizing the Mexican American in San Antonio.
The word demos means what? Buscalos? Yeah, close. People. Gracia means power. So the democracia means literally people power, or power of the people, by the people, organized people, making decisions, participating, coming together to teach each other and to learn together. That's what COPS is.
COPS, Communities Organized for Public Service, a network of parish-based organizations that have pushed for change in San Antonio. In order to leverage change, Ernie Cortez needed energetic leaders and an issue that affected everybody. Mr. Cortez paid a visit to Andy Sarabia.
It had rained, and in my driveway, water would accumulate. So one day he happened to come and talk to me. We're standing out there, and he's trying to agitate me, and finally he said, Mr. Sarabia, he says, do you enjoy standing in water? Do you like standing in water? And I said, no, of course not. He said, no, why are you? And I looked down, and sure enough, I was standing in this puddle of water. And then it clicked, why must my house flood when it does not flood in the more affluent communities?
You've got to teach people how to take their own authority, take authority over themselves, so they get dignity and self-respect.
For COPS members, flooding was clearly the main issue. It came into everybody's home. They studied the city budget and found that monies earmarked to correct the drainage problem had been reassigned to other programs in other parts of the city. They drew up their own version of the city budget, a counter budget, but were ignored by city council. They decided to make themselves noticed.
We took on